Good evening, it's time for the news on Times Television, TTV, and you're with me, Ronald Mpaso. First, the headlines. Civil society organizations have held the Supreme Court's declaration that the death penalty is unconstitutional. The government has settled for the Salima Lilongwe water project over the Diampui Dam project. And Minister of Health has ordered mass testing and mandatory 2 weeks quarantine for all Indians at Salima Sugar Factory. We have these and other stories. Stay with us. In our first story, the Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation and Youth and Society have held the Malawi Supreme Court of Appeal for declaring that the death penalty is unconstitutional. They described the ruling as a landmark. In the ruling made on Wednesday, that's yesterday, in the case of Charles Koviwa versus the Republic, the court upheld that the death penalty is an abolition of the right to life.
Or to death for killing a person with albinism. In Malawi, presidents have since 1975, for one reason or another, never signed death warrants, and since 1994, there has been a moratorium on death penalty.
The government has settled for the Salima Lilongwe water project over the Diampui Dam, the Ministry of Finance has disclosed. The Diampui Dam project is a favorite for one of the country's financiers, the World Bank, and it has raised concerns over the feasibility of the relevance of the Salima Lilongwe drinking water project. Wezi Gausi has more in this report.
The bank opted for Diampui Dam, saying it will provide drinking and irrigation water in the central region, including Lilongwe district. However, Minister of Finance spokesperson Williams Banda says government has opted for Salima Lilongwe water project. He says the ministry will meet the South African-based contractors, Cato Civils, on the project. Recently, the Natural Resources Committee of Parliament warned Malawi government against backtracking of the multi-billion kwacha Salima Lilongwe project. He said his committee found out that government was likely to dump the Salima Lilongwe water project in favor of the Diampui Dam under the influence of the World Bank. The committee also established that South African-based contractors Cato Civils had reduced the cost of the project from $405 million to $315 million, and that the government owes Cato about $71 million as the contractor had already mobilized resources for the project. Chilenga has applauded government for following their recommendations. As we went to place, the World Bank had not yet responded to our questionnaire.
Minister of Health Kumbi Zekando de Chiponda has ordered mass testing and mandatory 2 weeks quarantine for all Indians at Salima Sugar Factory. Chiponda toured the factory in the wake of reports that some people who recently arrived from India had tested positive for coronavirus. Emmanuel Simpokorwe has more in this report, which is being read by Audrey Kaparamula.
At the factory, Chiponda learned that about 40 people from India had arrived in the country in 4 batches last week through Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe with negative COVID certificates. It further transpired that a laboratory technician at the factory, Jonathan Matipwili, had conducted tests on those people, with 16 of them coming out positive for the virus. Chiponda has since ordered health officials in the district to monitor and ensure those who tested positive are adhering to laid down regulations. She further disclosed that tests will be conducted on all the 60 Indians working at the factory, and that samples will be sent to South Africa for detection of the type of variant.
So we just have to make sure, that's why we're saying they have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. Institutional quarantine, mandatory quarantine, and people will be coming here. We are working with the Salima District Council, and we have the acting DC is here, the DMO is here, and all other officials, even the security, they're here from Chilima. So all of us were working together with our officials from the Public Health Institute, Dr. Chilima is here, and also from our ministry, Dr. Queen, our Chief of Health Services is here. So we are working together as a team to find the best possible solution.
Pandemic affected movement of goods, leading to lower prices on the market. National Planning Commission Director of Knowledge and Learning, Joseph Nagoli, says the study is significant in finding solutions to shocks experienced in the agricultural sector, one of the key pillars in the Malawi 2063 project.
And as National Planning, we are trying to see what should we learn in terms of research that is going on for us to take off from where we are to the next step. So these kind of findings where actually, if you listen to the presentation, actually the main issue here is that with the COVID-19 pandemic, the prices went down. And this is something that I think we need to take into consideration as we develop plans on how we can actually make sure that we increase commercialization.
Director of Planning in the Ministry of Agriculture, Godwell Mzonde, has since admitted that the pandemic has affected production.
I think vulnerability per se is multifaceted. It does not strictly be in agriculture only. We need to have a concerted effort to make sure that we plan very well, to make sure that our operations are well coordinated so that people should be healthy in a way, but we should also try to prevent the spread further to affect more farmers in Malawi.
And staying with business, the Malawi Bureau of Standards has awarded permits and designation certificates to a number of companies in the country. During a ceremony held in Blantyre yesterday, Minister of Industry Roy Kachalibanda encouraged manufacturers to embrace quality and standards. Yamikani Kachaje has the details.
Malawi Bureau of Standards Director General Simon Mandala praised the growing numbers of certified businesses in the country. Mandala said the number of companies that have been given certificates and the criteria used to award these certificates have increased over the years.
So far, up to date, it's over 800. We are running close to 900, and that's for the local products. And to us, that's an improvement. It means many SMEs or many companies in the country are now appreciating the role of standards, what they can do, the impact that they have on their businesses, considering that the consumers are now quality conscious. And if you take substandard product on the market, you cannot really thrive.
On his part, Kachale said the certificates awarded are significant as they show that many companies are now in line with the standards set by MBS.
For any country to develop or for any country to have a meaningful industry, you must follow quality rules that make sure that the products that you're producing within the country and the services are competitive on the market, both locally and internationally. So the only way to do that is to mandate a body like Malawi Bureau of Standards to have strict measures that they're going to, that they can go around looking for. And so when they do that, through the exercises, the end result is the awarding of these certificates.
The minister further encouraged manufacturers to embrace quality culture and integrate quality principles in all undertakings.
You're watching the news on Times Television TTV. We now take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Zilama units ndi 100 kwacha kapena kuposerapo mudzilandira mabonus oyimbira foni, SMS kapena data pompo.
TNM, always with you.
Do your gums hurt?
Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile?
All that in one toothpaste?
Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums.
Ah, Colgate Herbal.
Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Welcome back. They say a friend in need is a friend indeed. After getting concerned with the plight of their colleagues, some students of the Polytechnic in Blantyre have launched an initiative called Sponsor a Meal, aimed at providing meals to needy scholars at the institution. Isaac Salima has the full story.
It is lunchtime at the Polytechnic University in Blantyre, while other students are busy taking care of themselves. Second-year student in Education Business Studies, Brenda Saidi, has skipped lunch as the only money she has is not enough for her to have lunch and supper. She has instead opted to only eat in the evening. Such is also the case with Mpaso Major, who is studying for a bachelor's in geological engineering, and first-year environmental management and technology student Sintani Hala, both who do not know where their next meal will come from.
A lot of times I eat once a day at night because I try my best to eat at night than to eat like at morning.
I'm facing a lot of challenges such as accommodations, meal problems, stationaries. Most of the times I just eat one a day. When I've taken a food evening, which means I'll take the food another day evening.
I'm facing a lot of problems because I don't have rent to fee and money for food.
The Polytechnic University has over 300 desperate students whose problems range from a lack of tuition fees to headaches over where to get money to pay for rentals and food. It is for this reason that some students came up with a Sponsor a Meal initiative where they are raising funds to be buying meals for needy students. The students recently organized a car wash, and through other means they have so far raised about 500,000 waja. Lloyd Talavu is one of the students who came up with the initiative and explains.
But for a start, our target is during exams so that they should not be able.
And conditions as the court deemed fit. Sumbleta's lawyer Oscar Taulo confirmed the development and said the case will come before Justice Chifundo Kachale. The former MBC Director General was arrested following Malawi Human Rights Commission investigation report into his alleged reports of sexual harassment. In the report released on 29 March 2021, the Commission recommended compensation for the 4 victims who willingly testified before the inquiry and suffered injustice, and that Sumbleta be prosecuted of indecent assault.
An 18-year-old man has died after being electrocuted in Bangwe Township in Blantyre, police in Limbi have said. The law enforcers have since urged the public to be extra careful around electrical equipment to avoid such accidents. Limbi Police Public Relations Officer Patrick Musa explains to our reporter Thomas Kachere.
I would like to confirm to say that an 18-year-old man, Henry Kanyenga, from John Village, Mahuka, in Mulanje, indeed has died after being electrocuted. This happened in Bangwe Market. According to what we've gathered so far, it seems like Henry was working on a certain satellite dish there, on top of a roof of a certain shop there. It is believed that he managed to remove the dish from the roof But when he was coming down from the roof, that's when he was electrocuted. Our police officers were notified on the scene, and our criminal investigation department, CID personnel, went there. They took him to Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital, where he died before treatment. As a police, I would like to take this opportunity here to advise all the people who are involved in this profession of this nature that they should have the expertise so that together we can avoid accidents of this nature.
Blantyre Water Board yesterday donated 40 hand-washing facilities to Blantyre City Council to be installed in schools, bus shelters, bus stations, healthcare facilities and other public places in and around the city. The function took place at Civic Center in Blantyre. The board's acting director of technical services, Engineer Luke Dete, said proper hand washing not only reduces the spread of coronavirus but also prevents the spread of other viral illnesses like cholera, typhoid and pneumonia. He explains.
Blantyre Water Board received a donation from World Bank, and we received so many items such as the pipes, chemicals, sanitizer, automatic dispersers, and the masks, including PPE for COVID-19 preventive. So we thought it wise, after distributing to our various areas, we thought it wise that the remaining materials we should donate to our partners, which is Blantyre City Assembly. As you are aware that Blantyre Water Board supplies water to Blantyre City, and we work hand in hand with the Blantyre City Assembly. Our customers are the ones who are also staying here in the city of Blantyre. So that's what we decided, that we should make sure that these washing facilities should be donated to Blantyre City Assembly so that they can be distributed to public places such as schools and markets.
And receiving the donation on behalf of the Assembly, Acting Chief Executive Officer for Blantyre,
that the projects are aligned to the district strategic plan. He was speaking when a local non-government organization, Center for Civil Society Strengthening, presented a 2-year project proposal of gender-sensitive solutions in security and humanitarian response for women and girls to be implemented in traditional authority of Mankunikira in the district.
And they shouldn't create parallel structures, because as government we already have structures that are on the ground. So it's just very, very important that they work with the already existing structures. Number 2 is the reporting lines. Those ones have to be followed. Report through the community structures and then the district structures.
But Center for Civil Society Strengthening Executive Director Viwemi Chavula says the organization will ensure they implement the 135 million kwacha project as presented in the outline, which has been recommended by their donors, UN Women. Chavula said the project will help eradicate violence against women and girls by, among others, addressing harmful practices by ensuring that women and girls are empowered.
You would find that one of the biggest challenges with the issues around gender or empowerment, many people, one, do not know them, or maybe if they are by laws, you might find that they do not carry the lens of women.
The project targets women with disabilities, elderly, and those in geographically hard-to-reach areas.
That's the news for now, but before we go, the headlines again. Civil society organizations have held the Supreme Court's declaration that the death